Hi friends, it's Terry Stewart, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome to my Stamping is Fun channel. I have another fun project for you today. This one features the Butterfly Bouquet collection. So let's get started. So this is the card that we'll be working on today, and it features the Butterfly Bouquet collection, which includes the Butterfly Brilliant stamp set, the coordinating brilliant wings, and this is this die set. We'll be using this out of that die set, this die, as well as these kind of parquet-ish looking die. And the die also comes with, not only does it cut out the bodies of the butterflies, it has these detailed wings as well as brick patterns, other butterflies. So it's really has a lot of dies. And then we have the Butterfly Bijou DSP, which also has a lot of butterflies, all kinds of colors and patterns. Just really gorgeous paper. Watercolor prints. This pattern, because this die fits perfectly over the paper to cut out these butterflies. And then on the reverse side is this beautiful watercolor paper that we'll be using also on our project. I already die cut the butterflies for another project, so I'll be using this just green, this green one, and this blue one that's already been cut from the paper. I'm going to also use this Natural Touch DSP that comes in the collection, and I don't know if you can see it, but it has some wood graining already in it, texturized. And I'm going to use this die in my cut and emboss machine to put some etchings into that, so you can see on here. And I'll show you how I kind of made those more prominent. I'm going to lay my piece of Natural Touch DSP and roll this through, and I'll do this several times to get all those etchings into this paper. I'll place the die in various positions on the paper. Now I'm going to stamp this Butterfly Brilliance, and I'll stamp all the butterflies and cut them out with my cut and emboss machine, so I can have them for other projects. I'm using 3 of these butterflies on this project, so I'll have 3 others for a different project. And because this is a large stamp, I'm going to take my ink pad and push it onto this, bring the pad to the stamp instead of the other way where we normally put the ink, the stamp to the pad. I'm putting the pad to the stamp in this for this project. And to cut all these out at once, I have a piece of 4.5 by 6 inch white cardstock. Check out my blog, stampinghair.blogspot.com, for all the measurements for this project. And I'll also bring my paper. I'll bring my paper to my inked image. I'll lay that down, and then using a block, I'll press the image. So when I did that, I was too near the edge. So I'm going to try again and pay attention to my edges so there's enough room when I do my die cut machine, my cut and emboss machine. There, much better. Using the same die I used on the DSP, I can now cut out my butterflies that I stamped. Then with one pass of through my cut and emboss machine, I have 6 butterflies. So these are the 3 that I'll be using on this project that I stamped, and these 3 will save for another project. And I will be coloring these with various methods. I have a piece of scrap paper because I'll be using blends for 2 of those. So this smallest one here, I'm using the Light Daffodil Delight blends marker, which is an alcohol marker, and I'm just going to do the center part of it and leave the edges the cardstock, the image white. And then with my light smoky slate, I'm going to do the center. Just darken that up a little bit of the body. And that one. Butterfly is done. And for this one, I'm going to use Melon Mambo. And I have a light Melon Mambo blends marker, which is also the alcohol marker. And I'm going to do the whole butterfly. Actually, this is Flirty Flamingo. It's not Melon Mambo. So I'm going to color the whole butterfly in with Flirty Flamingo. And then I'm going to bring it the dark color. This is the light Flirty Flamingo. And I'll bring the blend in the dark and do some shading. And then with my dark marker, I'm going to do these wing tips and just on the other side of that. And then where some of these spots are, I'm going to highlight those. And again, with my smoky slate, I'm going to fill in the body, make a darker body. But you can still see the stamped image through it. There's my second butterfly. For the third butterfly, I'm going to use Just Jade ink pad and my Wink of Stella clear marker. I have some ink here in the lid of the ink pad, and I'll just pick some of that up and paint the body. And then just wipe the brush free. And again with my smoky slate, I'll enhance the body, shadowing that in. And there's our final butterfly. For this card, I am going to be making a card that says a little hello from the Itty Bitty Greetings. I'm going to stamp with Versamark on black cardstock. Then using my white embossing powder, way too much there. And then with I can just easily pour this back in to the container using my scrap paper. I'm going to bring in my clothespin, wooden clothespin, and my heat tool to activate the embossing powder. And then you can see how it's turned shiny. The powder is melted using the heat tool. So this is the piece of Natural Touch specialty paper. And you can see where using the die, it's made some scratch marks, and it's actually cut through. But because it went through the machine so many times, it's kind of hard to see some of these scratches. So if you take your pick tool and just run it through, kind of bends those edges a little bit and gives it more definition. So I'll be going over all these lines so that they're visible once I stick this piece down to my card base. And now we're ready to assemble our card. I have a piece of thick white cardstock. It's cut at 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. Visit my blog for all the measurements and ingredients for this card. Fold my cardstock in half and then burnish the score line. With my liquid glue, I'll adhere this Natural Touch paper, specialty paper. And just put a thin line of glue on the edges. And this is going to go right against the fold. And then my piece of DSP, and I'm going to use this watercolor side up, so I have to cover up these beautiful butterflies on the back side. It's so hard to decide which patterns to use. But we did use this pattern, this butterfly pattern, to cut some butterflies out. And I want a little bit of that pink on the outside, and I'll just butt this right up against that specialty paper. Now I can dry fit my butterflies. I'll have a blue one here, a green one coming this way, and this big green one coming a little bit off this way. The yellow one will bring over this direction. And then this flirted flamingo one coming from the bottom. Now once I have them in place, I'll start gluing from the bottom. And I'm just going to put some glue in the center. And that way I can fit the other butterflies underneath. And the same thing, I'll just put some glue right in the center of the butterfly and fit him underneath. Put all the glue on this one, except for this tip that's going to be off the my paper snips. I'm going to trim my sentiment. That we embossed with white embossing powder. And I'll put some dimensionals behind that. Trim some Just Jade ribbon, a little bit longer than my sentiment. I actually want to go in the same direction. I have my cuts going in the same direction. And with my glue dots, I'm going to place my ribbon in place. So I will put a glue dot on either end. My pick a tool. And then one glue dot on the other end. Center that. Remove these dimensional covers. Place my sentiment. And there's the finished card featuring the Butterfly Bouquet. If you like this card, please subscribe to my channel so I can bring you even more fun stamping projects. And until next time, remember, stamping is fun.